and welcome to this very important topic, which is database object naming rules. This topic is especially important for the exam because you're going to be tested on this topic definitely. And there is definitely going to be some trick question. So go through this topic, practice out so you'll notice a trick and you know the answer right away. So to go through the naming rules for the objects, for example, when you are creating a table or some other object, the length has to be between 1 and 30 characters. This is a little bit ambiguous because in the newer versions of Oracle, higher than 12.2, you can have 128 characters. I don't think you have to worry on the exam on the length of the object because the exam tests from 11G till 19C versions of Oracle database. Another one is the first character must be a letter. This is a complete rule. It has to be a letter. Have in mind that names are not case sensitive, so you can have init cap, all caps, lower caps, any mixture. The Oracle doesn't mind that at all. And when you are performing some select or something like that, you can type it as you want. So after the first character, which is a letter, any following characters can be letters, numbers, or three special characters, which are the underscore, dollar sign, or hashtag, or pound sign, however you want to name it, right? Let's test this out in a couple of examples. So now I'm in my SQL developer. I'm connected to my HR schema, and I'm going to try to create a couple of objects of table type. The syntax for creating an object on Oracle database is following. It is create, followed by object type. Next is object name. And then the attributes are at the last. Right? So let's create a simple table. So the syntax is create table, which is object type. I'm going to name it cars. Again, it's not case sensitive. And I'm going to add attributes as follows. It's going to have only one column. It's going to be car ID, right? And the type of that attribute is a number. Let's see if this works. I'm going to select that command and run. So my table is now created. I can refresh it just to check, right? It's here. Okay. Let's try to go with some examples that are going to error, right? So I'm going to try to create a table and my first character is going to be a number. So I'm just going to add a 1 in front of cars. When I try to run that, it's an invalid table, right? I'm going to try to add a special character, which is allowed after the first letter. However, this should also error, right? Excellent. As we said, the first character must be a letter, and the following ones can be numbers or those special characters. So I'm just going to add a number and a special character, which is a dollar sign in this case. I'm going to run this command. Right. So my table C2 dollar sign Rs is created. Let's refresh here to see if it's here or just to try to select for it. Right. All Rs, right? And the table is here. Of course, it doesn't have any data. Another important part of the naming rules is that you cannot use reserved words like create and or public synonym and a lot of more. I added a list of those reserved words in the resource, so please do check them out. Although by going through the course and practicing, you're gonna notice which are reserved words. Okay? There is a feature in Oracle database that we can use quoted names for objects. Like an example presented over here, sum table. As you can see, it has even a space in it, which is not allowed. Let's go to some examples to see how this works. Let's drop first the tables that we created prior. The syntax is drop table and the table name, which is cars, right? we are learning along as we go how to remove objects. And the table cars is dropped, right? If I refresh it over here, dropped. I can do that also from SQL developer. So just another tip, and apply that, and the table has been dropped. Excellent. So back to the naming rules for quoted names, right? Let's create a table cars, but now with quotation marks, right? Let's create it. And the table cars, it's now created. Let's try to select from it. Select all from cars. And the thing is, this is gonna error because table cars does not exist. But if I add the quotation marks to it, right, everything is fine. This is not a recommended way of creating tables, but it's supported on Oracle database, and there could be a trick question on the exam for that. Also, you can also add a space as shown in the presentation. So for example, if I add sport cars and I try to create it, that table is created. Let's refresh it just to check. All right, sport cars. It's over here. Excellent. Now, if I try to query from it, everything works fine. But if I try to do that all caps, right, sport cars, this is not gonna work because now it's case sensitive. Actually, we can even use special characters under the quotation, which are not supported in the normal naming rules. For example, if I add /star and create this table is created, right? And I can query from it. Excellent. This works. And we can refresh it over here just to check if it exists, and it's here. Another thing to have in mind is that the name of an object has to be unique under one namespace. So for example, if we have a schema, let's think of this like our HR schema, we can only have one object with name, for example, cars. So if we create an object named cars, a view cannot have the same name. We can create an index with the name of cars, and that will be fine. If you go to another schema with some other user, and we create a table cars, this is gonna be fine because it's not under the same namespace. Cool. This could be also be a trick on the exam, so have in mind that. On the job, have in mind to create objects with meaningful names. So avoid like names A, B, some numbering, like table 1, table 2, or XYZ. You're gonna make it much more easier for yourself in the future and especially for your colleagues. Again, I encourage you to try the examples by yourself and check the documents provided on this lecture. Right? See you in the next one.